Echoes of shadows. A reckoning long overdue. In the quiet hamlet of Willow Creek, a chill wind rattled the bare trees. Jacob Ellis gripped his frayed jacket, staring at the weathered house before him. It was a sagging, single-story home, its gray shingles peeling, windows cracked. He was 11, small for his age, his hazel eyes wide as he stepped into his new life. "Jacob, come meet your stepfather," his mother Ruth called, her voice tentative. She stood in the doorway, her auburn hair tied back, a nervous smile on her face. Beside her loomed Victor Kane, a hulking man with a square jaw and piercing gray eyes. Jacob hesitated, a cold shiver running down his spine as Victor's gaze locked onto him. "Well, come on, boy," Victor said, his voice deep, a smile curling his lips. It wasn't a warm smile. It was sharp, predatory, setting Jacob's nerves on edge. "Hi, stepfather," Jacob mumbled, his words barely audible, swallowed by the air. Victor clapped a heavy hand on Jacob's shoulder, fingers digging in just enough. "Good lad," he said, his tone smooth. "We'll get along just fine, won't we?" Ruth beamed, oblivious. "See, Jacob? Victor's excited to be part of our family." Jacob nodded, but inside, a quiet dread coiled tight, whispering warnings he couldn't name. Dinner was a strained affair, the clink of forks loud in the heavy silence. Ruth chattered about her day at the diner, her voice a fragile thread of cheer. Victor barely listened, his eyes fixed on Jacob, unblinking like a hawk on prey. "How was school, kid?" he asked abruptly, his spoon hovering midair. Jacob flinched, his fork trembling. "It was okay. We did science." Victor's lips twitched into a smirk. "Smart boy, huh? I like that." He reached over, ruffling Jacob's hair, his touch lingering too long, too firm. Jacob shrank back, a sick feeling blooming in his gut. "Please, don't." Victor chuckled, low and dark. "Just being friendly, kid. Relax." Ruth sighed. "Jacob, don't be shy. He's just showing he cares." Jacob wanted to shout, to run, but Ruth's trusting eyes pinned him in place. That night, sleep eluded him, the shadows in his bare room twisting like specters. He huddled under his thin blanket, the wind howling through the cracked window. A creak broke the silence, the door easing open, slow and deliberate. Jacob's heart slammed against his ribs, his breath catching as footsteps approached. "Awake, Jacob?" Victor's voice slithered through the dark, soft and menacing. Jacob didn't answer, squeezing his eyes shut, praying it was a nightmare. The bed dipped as Victor sat, too close, his breath warm against Jacob's ear. "You're a quiet one," he murmured. "We'll fix that, you and me." Jacob's body locked up, terror flooding him as a hand brushed his arm. "Please, leave me alone," he whispered, voice shaking, barely audible. Victor laughed, a sound that chilled Jacob's bones. "Shh, be a good boy." The hand tightened, and Jacob bit his lip, tears soaking into his pillow. When Victor finally left, the door clicking shut, Jacob sobbed silently. He knew then, this house wasn't a home, it was a cage, and he was trapped. The next day at school, Jacob moved like a ghost, his face pale, eyes hollow. "You okay, Jake?" asked Mia, his classmate, her freckled face creased with worry. "I'm fine," he lied, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Mia frowned, her dark curls bouncing as she tilted her head. "You don't look fine." Jacob shrugged, the weight of the night pressing down, silencing him. He couldn't tell her. No one would believe a monster lived in his house. That afternoon, Victor was waiting, sprawled in the armchair like a king. "Where's Mom?" Jacob asked, his voice small, dread pooling in his chest. Out with a friend, Victor replied, his grin widening. Just you and me, kid. Jacob's stomach dropped. I have homework. Victor stood, towering over him. Come here, Jacob. Let's talk. Jacob backed away, but Victor's hand shot out, grabbing his wrist. Don't be scared, Victor said, his voice syrupy. We're family now. Jacob's breath hitched, his mind screaming as Victor pulled him closer. That night, alone again, with Victor, the nightmare deepened. Sleep in my room tonight, Victor ordered, his tone leaving no room for refusal. No, I don't want to, Jacob protested, stepping back, heart racing. Victor's smile vanished, his eyes hardening. I'm not asking, boy. Jacob trembled, tears welling as Victor loomed closer, unyielding. In the dark, Victor's presence was suffocating, his whispers venomous. You'll keep quiet, won't you? He hissed, his hand clamping Jacob's shoulder. If you tell, your mom will hate you, think you're a liar, he added. Jacob nodded, mute with fear, his world shrinking to this endless terror. Morning came, Ruth bustling in with groceries, oblivious to the shadows. Sleep well, sweetie, she asked, ruffling Jacob's hair with a smile. He nodded, swallowing the truth, the filth of the night clinging to him. Victor emerged, all charm. Kid's a trooper, Ruth. We're bonding. Ruth glowed, blind to the lie. I'm so glad you two are getting along. Jacob's chest ached. He had to tell her, had to make her see. Mom, can we talk? He said, his voice cracking as Victor watched, smirking. Sure, honey, Ruth replied, setting down a bag. What's up? Jacob took a breath, trembling. Last night, Victor. Victor cut in, smooth as silk. Ruth, he's been having nightmares. Ruth frowned, confused. Nightmares? He's troubled, Victor said, feigning concern. Maybe needs help. No, Jacob shouted, tears spilling. He's lying, Mom. He hurt me. Ruth's face hardened, disbelief flashing. Jacob, what are you saying? He touches me, Jacob sobbed, desperation clawing at him. Victor sighed, theatrical. Ruth, he's confused. Misses his dad, I reckon. Ruth's hand lashed out, slapping Jacob's cheek, a sharp sting of betrayal. Enough, she yelled. Stop making up stories to ruin us. Jacob staggered, the world tilting, his mother's rejection a knife to his heart. Victor's smirk widened, victorious. Poor kid's lost it, Ruth. Jacob understood then. He'd lost her, lost everything, to this monster. Days bled into weeks, the abuse unrelenting, Victor's cruelty unchecked. You're nothing, Victor snarled, shoving Jacob against the wall. Bruises bloomed on his skin, hidden under sleeves, a secret he couldn't share. Ruth grew distant, swayed by Victor's lies, her love slipping away. Mia noticed, her voice soft. Jake, that mark, did you fall? Yeah, he muttered, avoiding her eyes, shame choking him. She didn't push, but her worry lingered, a faint light in his darkness. Victor ruled with fear, isolating Jacob, starving him of freedom. No friends, he decreed. You stay here, with family. Ruth nodded, deceived. It's for your own good, Jacob. Mia faded from his life, the last thread of normalcy severed. Nights were the worst. Victor's whispers, his touch, a relentless torment. Jacob stopped fighting, stopped crying, his spirit eroding to dust. He was 11, but felt ancient, hollowed out by a world that didn't see. One night, he made a choice. He couldn't endure another dawn here. Waiting until the house slept, he slipped from his bed, barefoot and silent. The window creaked open, the cold night air biting his skin. He climbed out, dropping to the grass, and ran into the shadows. Willow Creek's streets blurred past, his lungs burning, legs trembling. He didn't know where to go, only that he had to escape, no matter the cost. Dawn found him miles away, shivering, starving, but free. The world beyond was harsh. Strangers ignored him, their eyes cold. He begged once, voice small. "Please, can you help me?" A man sneered, "Get lost, kid," and turned away, leaving Jacob empty. Survival became his fight, scrounging scraps, hiding from threats. A new predator lurked one night, a gruff man offering food, his smile wrong. Jacob fled, heart pounding. The streets as dangerous as the home he'd left. 20 years passed, the scars of Willow Creek etched deep in his soul. Now Jacob Kane stood in the village square, no longer the broken boy. Tall, broad-shouldered, a successful architect, he radiated quiet power. The bakery still stood, its aroma unchanged, but Jacob had returned for blood. Victor Kane. His name ignited a fire of rage, a vow kept alive through decades. The man who'd stolen his childhood would face him now and pay. Jacob had tracked him. Victor, old and frail, lived in a crumbling shack. His once proud frame was bent, his wealth gone, but his arrogance lingered. Jacob approached, the door groaning open, revealing the monster of his past. Victor squinted, not recognizing him. "Who the hell are you?" Jacob smiled, cold and deliberate. "A ghost you buried long ago." Victor froze, realization dawning, fear flickering in his faded eyes. "Jacob?" he rasped, stepping back, his voice trembling. "That's right," Jacob said, advancing. "You didn't think I'd forget?" Victor tried to laugh, a weak sound. "You can't touch me, boy." Jacob's smile didn't waver. "I don't need to. The truth will." The square buzzed that day, whispers spreading. Jacob was back. He stood tall, papers in hand, medical records, proof of Victor's crimes. "Victor Kane abused me," he declared, his voice cutting through the crowd. An old woman, Mrs. Tate, nodded. I heard cries, never spoke up. A man, Mr. Brooks added, saw bruises on the kid, thought he fell. The villagers turned, eyes on Victor as he emerged, defiance crumbling. "You've got nothing!" he shouted, but his voice shook, hollow. Jacob held up the evidence. "This says otherwise. Bruises, scars, all documented." The crowd gasped, murmurs rising, a tide of outrage swelling. Ruth appeared, aged and fragile, her eyes widening at Jacob. "Jacob," she whispered, tears falling, "where did you go?" "You chose him," Jacob said, his tone flat, unyielding. She sobbed, "I was wrong. I didn't see." "It's too late," he replied, turning away, her pleas fading behind him. Police arrived, cuffs snapping on Victor's wrists as he thrashed. "You can't do this," he screamed, but the village cheered his fall. Jacob watched, calm, the weight of 20 years lifting at last. In the station, Victor slumped, defeated as Jacob entered alone. "You lost," Jacob said simply, his voice a blade of quiet fury. Victor glared, trembling. "You think this changes anything?" "No," Jacob replied, "but it ends you." He leaned close. "Feel that fear? That's what you gave me." Victor shuddered, voiceless, as Jacob walked out, free at last. Outside, Ruth waited, desperate. "Forgive me, Jacob. Please." He paused, looking at her. "I can't forget what you let happen." She crumpled, sobbing, as he left her in the dust of her regret. Victor was hauled away, a broken shell, the village cleansed of his shadow. Jacob stood in the square, the breeze soft, the sky a brilliant blue. He was no longer the boy who ran. He was the man who returned. The past was ash, the future his, forged from pain into strength. If you like this story, please give it a like. Subscribe to our channel. Your support keeps us sharing tales like this. We're so grateful. See you soon.